Hi everyone, welcome to Ethernal Realms and welcome to this reading. We will see what your spirit guides have to say to you as a form of their guidance for you at this time, and we'll also get a little bit into who these guides are who are helping you at this point in time. So we have pile 1 over here, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. Make sure to choose your reading with your intuition. If you're not sure how, you can visit the video in the ribbon above and it will walk you through it. And once you've made your choice, the reading for you will be in the timestamps, which are in the description box and the comment below. So whenever you're ready, we will get started. Hi pile 1, welcome to your guidance reading here. Let's see what your spirit guides have to say to you. I will do the oracle cards in just a bit. Let's start with your tarot. First card we have here is the Two of Cups. Next, we have the Six of Wands. Then we have the Empress. Next, we have the Queen of Wands. And finally, we have the Moon. Okay. So, in terms of guidance, this says that you are in flow and you are in harmony. There is communication between you and your soul. It can come through, for example, the heartstrings. That's what I'm hearing. But it means it's more of a feeling and an intuition. Whenever there is a choice, there will be a very clear feeling you feel in your heart, and it is kind of asking you to tune in to that. The Moon talks about the intuition and that being the guide through murky times. Moon essentially has that illusory effect, like you can't really see everything very clearly. So it can be fearful because we're not trusting of what is happening or what could happen. Right, we don't have a lot of control here because we don't understand where we are. And the only thing that can get us through that is by listening to our emotions and our intuitions. This card is really interesting because this hand, it can seem like, oh my goodness, who is this? And this girl is kind of being controlled by this hand here. That's what it looks like. But when you look closely, the fingers over here of this person kind of pointing at something, which is sort of having the same crescent shape, and this is basically her hand in a microcosm. So it's sort of like when you don't understand the outside and it is sort of confusing and it can seem daunting, like being in a new place or being connected with very new people, it's out of the comfort zone. Then we need to turn inward and look at what we can handle, what is happening more locally, so the intuition and the emotion are more internal to us and help us navigate throughout these uncomfortable circumstances. So when we do that, we also find that same thing being reflected on the outside as is the Moon's nature. When we look at the light, that's when the Moon shines. It cannot have its own light, but it just reflects the sun's, right? So there is a lot of reflection that can be going on or is being needed at this point. But it is essentially saying that the moment you listen to that feeling and you trust that feeling, you will find your success, your partner, your harmony, your abundance. Because we have Six of Wands and the Empress. It means that you are meant for success in whatever that, is your heart's desire, basically. Whatever lights you up and makes you passionate, you are meant to be successful in that way. And it is not an uphill battle. It's not a struggle. It's just a need to turn inward and see something from a completely different perspective. The Moon kind of puts you sort of in a fool's place, but Fool is kind of very open to whatever comes. It does not have the concept of fear yet because it's still a child and it'll just put its finger in the socket, right? But with the Moon here, we have already gone through a lot through the tarot, and by the time we come here, we understand what fear is. And we have some things at stake. We have built something. We have a sense of security and comfort already. Even if it is not fulfilling or there is some threat or unknown that is going on as well. So we already have a lot that we don't want to lose, don't want to change, and so on. That's when we feel that fear, because we're not open and accepting to what is coming. So the solution here is, again, to look at things from a completely new perspective, like the Fool would, but using your experience so far to kind of deal with whatever comes. Because the Fool is kind of, okay, let's just jump into the fire. Let's just go over the cliff, right? No problem. But then it will also hurt, and it will also burn, and that's how it learns. But with the Moon here, you are wiser this time. So you've dealt with different uncomfortable circumstances, and this one is completely in your oyster, basically. You have the experience that you need to navigate whatever comes, and what's coming is actually victory and success, and it's kind of like beyond this fear. There is intense empowerment. This Empress, I mean, she's the queen of the queens, right? She is fertility itself. She's Mother Nature herself, and she's kind of the provider of everything that can fulfill someone's heart. So artistic expression of sorts, creative pursuits and hobbies, also kind of changing your environment or self and so on to help you feel more empowered. These are some things that are being asked of you as a guidance, but it's also being kind of provided to you in some sort. For example, the raw materials can be there with you, and it is up to you to just look at it and be like, oh, hey, I have everything that I was looking for. It's in a, it's in a different form, let's say. But the Six of Wands is like triumphing over all conflicts and struggles and not feeling like something is uphill anymore. You're being very much guided and supported as well, and I'm feeling feminine figures guiding you. The Queen of Wands is someone very fiery and passionate, but she's also very empathetic and kind of understands where someone else comes from. It's just that she takes a warm approach to dealing with it instead of a watery approach of like, come, let's talk tenderly. She's like more motivating and inspiring and so on. So one of your guides is something like that, more of a fiery but warm glow type of approach here. And this whole reading is taking on a very encouraging tone, saying that don't be afraid and that you are supported and you will succeed. Don't be afraid to try something new, because even if it seems like a little step at this point, in no time you can reach to kind of a much bigger destination, a much bigger goal where you can feel a lot more confident about yourself. The Queen of Wands and the Empress also talks about feeling confident about the self, completely worthy of whatever that you are trying to achieve. And the Six of Wands is kind of represented by the lion here in this deck, right? So that is taking stock of everything that you have tried and accomplished, and how kind of taking pride in that way. A little bit is sort of patting yourself in the back after you dealt with certain conflicts here. So it kind of reaffirms to you that you can do it again if you must, or if you need to, in order to grow, in order to find the goals that you're looking for. Use your passions, drives, and your heart all together. Kind of combine all of these different aspects of you to make your victory, so to say, happen. Okay, what else do we get here? We have the Spectrum. Yeah, using all of your resources. Yeah, and we have Parsec. Okay, so Parsec talks about distancing yourself from the humdrum or the busyness of everyday life, and kind of take stock. Once again, this is like planning for the future, but also learning from the past, right? And appreciating where you are at this time. Distancing yourself and then objectively noticing what is going on in life, what fits with you and what does not, what is working together for the greater whole, or what is just a stray. Because the Empress, again, nature is going to try to find the most efficient route for survival and growth, right? So redundancy is done in very small amounts, only as is needed for survival's sake. And beyond that point, everything else is very efficient as it works in terms of the design. So whenever we include the same type of people in our lives and we do not talk to anyone who is a little bit different from us, then we're kind of shutting the door to new learnings or some other person that we could cooperate with later down the line. So that does not take a very balanced or a humble or an open approach to things, and that can inhibit meeting certain people that would be pivotal to your life, whether that is in a romantic or a business context. It can also talk about friendships as well, though finding your kin is as well likely. But if you're feeling, again, chaotic in your outside life, it says take some time out and evaluate where you are, what you have done so far, and where you want to be headed. And that way you can recognize the right circumstances and people much easier, which would just, push you along, because this entire path is kind of inevitably leading you to success here of some sorts, okay, depending on whatever it is that you want to manifest at this time, or what you're pursuing at this time. Spectrum here is expanding the variety of things that you experience. If you are more involved with people, let's say you're involved in sales or advertising or something, it's about not only meeting people from your field, but also others. That way you have a wider range of knowledge, for example, right? So spectrum is gathering more perspectives and understanding the same thing through a different lens or a different source of light. And kind of incorporating, because ultimately these 7 qualities, these 7 colors that come out of white light is a part of white light, and they're kind of working in perfect tandem to make that light happen. So whoever we meet outside, whoever we form a relationship outside, and the types of work that we feel ourselves drawn to, or the types of people, hobbies, and so on that we find ourselves drawn to, they are kind of little pieces of us as well that are kind of playing out their own individual roles in the outside. So by evaluating relationships and everything external to us as well, we can understand what's inside. But if the outside feels very chaotic and that's not the best learning process for us, we need to turn inward. And oftentimes it kind of switches. Once in a while it's best to learn from others, but at other times we really need to listen to ourselves. So how you balance these two things, where your inner voice is heard and practiced, but it is also in accordance to the laws and truths of the outside world, that's something that is coming through here. Perhaps that's a journey you're going through as well. This can be in terms of fears related with relationships, concerns with self-worth and competence, in the context of self-confidence, and kind of going with that instinct that you get, or the inner voice that comes through, how you can translate that into outside action, kind of live out your passion and be successful at something that you are naturally gifted. Yes, that's what I hear. You're naturally gifted with something here, and it can be that you're afraid of it in some way. It might be it's hard to practice, or it's too niche, so it's hard to become a pioneer in that field or something of that sort. It's different for everyone, of course, but it is a natural gift, and it is here to kind of uplift you, to empower you and bring you to success. Wow, okay. It also says that the right resources and the people will meet you when the time is right. And the obstacles that come in your way are necessary strengths, is something I'm hearing. So what you perceive as weaknesses or obstacles are only strengths. And you can navigate them with your creativity and intuition here. Okay, wow. So let's see your astro dice here. Can we have some more guidance, please, for Pile 1 viewers? Okay, 1 rolls away. We have Capricorn, we have the Sun, and we have the 8th house. This one is use your experience and expertise to create a transformation. So it's sort of like you have to use what you already have and you already are, and it is saying that that is plenty. It's sort of kind of break it down and look at it much more closely at what the skills you have are, and it does not have to be like, oh, I completed this milestone for my company or something. Of course, that's kind of an outcome, but what is the skill exactly? Kind of bringing it down to the soft skill that you're gathering from the outcome, and noting how you have practiced it in the past. So like I was saying with the moon here, that we need to evaluate the past and see what we've learned there, and we're going to use that as a resource to up-level ourselves and transform ourselves into something more empowered. There's a strong leadership quality here, a very empathetic leader who is also very confident and competent, who trusts their heart, their gut, and their intuition. And that it's sort of people rallying behind you as well. I know it's a more royal picture of this, but with the lion here, I can't help but interpret that as well, that you're leading as an example, and there is nothing to deny here. So whatever you do, you're naturally gifted, that no one can deny that you're good at it. Okay, it's just a matter of wanting to, not stopping yourself, and putting in the work wherever needed and whenever needed to get there. It's about polishing something that is already here. Okay, so 8th house is about shadows and denial, what we have not seen about ourselves, working with that instead of against that, noticing it for the gifts that it has. It's just unrefined, so it does not perhaps look presentable, but when we work with it, we can then polish it and work kind of to refine it and make it more presentable to the outside, let's say. So it's an internal crude talent that we have, and the more we put the time and effort and discipline into it, the more empowered it becomes, because 8th house is also the house of your secret superpower, basically. So it can talk about your secret leader, and the leadership qualities just come with you, and you can be a guide for so many different types of people. It can also be that you're very sturdy and dependable, and that sort of reliability kind of gets you to your goals. So utilizing all of the latent talents you have is what is coming through. And the moon as well talks about that. What is subconscious? What is hidden from you? What have you not noticed yet? Start noticing those things. It's about uncovering your depths, not rushing through the process. There's no need to rush, because it looks very natural, as if it's about time. So you will receive the help as well, the kind of further you along. So you're not alone in this entire journey of uncovering more of you. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Pile 1. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope the reading resonated and that it helps you out. Let me know your thoughts, and if you want a personal reading, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box and the comment below. Feel free to check out any of my other readings. There are plenty there on my channel. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. Welcome to your spirit guide guidance messages. Let's see what we have. I will do your oracle cards in just a sec. Let's begin with the tarot. Okay, so the first card we have is Death. Okay, so intense. We're going to begin with that. Next we have Empress. Then we have the Magician. 3 on 3 major arcana so far, so some big messages coming up for you. Then we have the Ace of Wands. Okay, great. Next we have Judgment. 1 more major arcana. And we have Knight of Pentacles. Okay. This is rich, quite rich. This is kind of asking you to follow your calling in a very quick, short sentence, if I am to put it. Move towards your calling, put in your best efforts, and take your time doing that, because it's something very exciting for you. The judgment is basically that, right? Like we need to evaluate our rights and our wrongs, and things are just as they are. So we need to acknowledge them for what they are instead of, hiding behind shadows or kind of fears and illusions and all of that. Death kind of asks to transform our circumstances and uncover the key of life. And there are many things that are yet to be known, and there will be mysteries in times to come. But this change is meaningful. It can also symbolize that there is a change coming, because judgment is sort of universal and cosmic in that way. It's a change coming, and it will change it can be what you do, okay? Because with the Magician and the Ace of Wands, I'm really feeling writer vibe, okay? So some of you could be writers. It does not have to be specifically that. It's just something creative and artistic is as well possible. Magician also connects with technology, so creating something, okay, regardless of what particular school we are talking about. This is using your skill set and your resources to kind of make something long-term and meaningful happen. Empress is taking on the stand yourself, and that being right in the center here, it's giving me a lot of queen vibe, and that talks about being empathetic. It's gender neutral. I'm not saying that you're necessarily female, but Empress talks about being encouraging and understanding, providing the space, nurturing for nature, allowing growth to happen within herself and also of the people surrounding her, or of all the things natural around her. Okay, so she's that sort of leader who does not, apply very strict regimens and rules, and instead allows for a process to unfold naturally. And that's it, okay? And that's it. She's not trying to be anything. It's just a very natural skill set, or natural way of being. So whatever is ending, it has not been natural, something that has not been fitting well, or it has been strangling some other life aspect. If, for example, we're working too much, then our time at home or our personal health is deteriorating, then that particular thing and that focus there is not natural, because it's strangling life in some other area. Because the Empress is trying to strive for perfect balance, unity and harmony, and kind of mutual understanding and cooperation between every component that is involved. Magician wants to bring that harmony into balance. Okay, it uses all of the resources in an earthly sense. So having the money, having the skills, having the books and the paper and the knowledge, all of that. And it also applies higher knowledge. So kind of connects with the cosmos, like, why am I creating? What am I using all of this for? What is the end goal? What is that achieving? And so on and so forth. It asks for what and how and why, all of those things, and then it brings it into practice with the earthly components. It's the mutual working with what is intangible and with what is tangible that makes magic happen. So we need to put in the work, but we also need to have an intention, and vice versa. Both things need to work together. So if there is any resistance here that is in between these two things, we will start feeling unhappy because we are not heading where we want to go, or where we're instinctively being called towards. With the Judgment here, I keep getting that it's a calling, it's a calling, it's a calling. And that's what it means. But it is quite literally that. Like, you will keep on strongly feeling this fire and this urge to move towards a different direction or see the world in a different light. And that first comes with resistance, especially when we are unaware that that's what this is. So this here is saying that whenever you feel a very strong push in a certain direction, it is a calling, because it will feel passionate, okay? Some key aspects where you recognize it's something more is it feels very deeply passionate, it is primordial in that way, but at the same time it is not forceful. It is quite natural, and you don't feel rushed to do something, but at the same time there is a quiet urgency about it. It's, of course, it's ironic in that way, because you feel urgent but also not rushed. It's kind of odd, but that's how it is. Sort of like you must start moving in this direction. It's not saying you must reach your goal today, right? So this is something, again, natural skills and talents that are about to unfold and break through. The more the resistance, the more the pain it can feel. But I don't think you're going to be resisting this, because I feel like in some area of your mind you're kind of aware of it. It could be that you already write for yourself perhaps, and you kind of take it to the next level, and that's what is being asked of you. The Knight of Pentacles is like write a book, right? He's reading a book here. So read a book every day, write every day, practice every day. And there are like no 0 days, basically. You're going to do something of what you're passionate about, what you're driven about every single day. So you can make that part of your routine in the morning or in the evening. It doesn't matter. But it's really asking to practice all of these insights and natural capabilities that you know you have. And if you're not really sure what it is, then this is indicating that there will be a calling coming soon, and it will be a breakthrough, and you recognize yourself for who you are. There is such a powerful sense of self-empowerment here, that, you know, from the depths you are rising. The Death card is about that phoenix energy, and the Magician is like floating, and I feel as though the phoenix is within his heart, and that in expression is through this quill here, or this feather, with the Ace of Wands here. Okay, so it's kind of pouring your heart and making something magical happen out of it. Meanwhile, the Empress is sitting on a throne of that, right? So from despair, from darkness, from difficulties and everything that has been a resistance, there has to come something that is light and has infinite potential. Aces come, they're very new. Okay, so this is a very new venture, a fresh start. So there is a surge of excitement here coming through, and there will be a lot of passion again coming about. But it is up to us to put the work in and make that long lasting. I've gotten this ace many times in my readings for the day, for example, and it says, oh, okay, so it'll be exciting, it'll be fun, and so on. And it's so easy to just waste the day by just having fun, okay? Because it's an opportunity, and it is really, you have to be mindful to kind of channel that as well. It's an idea that can spark up life, but we can just spend more time feeling excited about it than we do putting the work into it. So I love that we have the Knight of Pentacles here, which talks about putting that into practice. So it can be a new insight that comes, a new way of thinking, manifesting, affirming to yourself and so on, that is more rich, abundant, and expansive for your future, and you feel very driven and motivated on an everyday basis. Okay, so working with affirmations, law of attraction, that corresponds with the Magician as well. Perhaps you need some more resources before you can make a transition from one place to another, and this year is kind of manifesting those resources and you getting those resources, and so that you can move towards your kind of life purpose here. Yeah, move towards the life purpose and your zones of fulfillment. That's very loud. We have 528 Hertz, which talks about the creation frequency, and that with the Empress, there's a lot of creative vibe coming through. Okay, and we have Dark Nebula, which is all about that potential, infinite potential that I was talking about. It's a cloud of all the elements and resources that you need. Okay, and they need to interact in a certain manner to be able to form planets and stars and the solar systems and so on. But in the beginning, it's just a cloudy mess. Okay, it's just a cloudy mess, and nobody knows how it is going to turn out, or what components are going to be attracted to what, and so on. And this frequencies kind of bring that order. The Magician as well tries to find order within the chaos. It knows that there are many things that probably won't work together, but he wants to engineer all of them such that they do work together under certain, conditions and circumstances, thereby creating a local environment for itself, a sense of structure around it, while admiring that there is a great deal of flexibility as well. So why I'm saying that is to not be afraid of the potential because it is unexplored, but to be excited about it because there's so much to explore. Okay, and the power is so much in your hands. This is literally like saying the power is literally in your hands. Okay, it's yours. It's in your hands. Where there is a will, there is definitely a way, and you can figure out a way. You're intelligent and clever and smart. All of that's coming through, and it just needs to be directed in a certain manner, such that you feel fulfilled. It's not temporary bliss, and it's more permanent and impactful in general. I'm feeling like I don't think the magician is a guide here. I'm feeling like judgment and death are the guides. There are two guides here coming through. The magician is you, and Empress is talking about the physical resources, so the money, investment, all of that. The judgment is someone who gives you a greater guidance. So in the beginning of every chapter, at the end of it, they come through and they give you a surge of insight. So whenever you feel a great sense of passion, where you're like, okay, must move in this direction, there is a sense of purpose and fulfillment here if you follow through with it. And that's one guide here who's much a little bit on a higher level, I'm getting. Meanwhile, death, scorpionic energy here, by the way, so somewhat of a serious demeanor and always there. I'm hearing omnipresent, always there. That with the dark nebula is sort of in the backdrop. They do not interfere with your everyday life and only come when in times of great needs, I suppose, and they're kind of supporting from the background such that nothing goes haywire, nothing goes too chaotic, and that every change is meaningful. They're kind of taking care in that manner, because what they're wanting to teach you at this point or in this life, it kind of depends on each individual here, but at this point at least, the lesson that they're wanting to teach is about self-empowerment and how you can communicate with the universe by yourself. The magician has a personal communication with the universe. Yeah, okay. I suppose that was a side piece, a little bit more about who is guiding you at this time. But they're definitely inspiring you a lot. The perspective is sort of different. Okay? While one is showing you, look over there, this one is showing you what needs to go so that you can look over there, or what needs to end in order to go over there. So your sights are very clear, but then you also see all of the resistances or the blocks in between, and that's where the magician comes in and the empress comes in, and that's the in-between, between the death and the judgment. That's what I'm getting here. Yes, your gut instinct, and you're clever. I'm getting you're resourceful and clever. So there's nothing that you cannot overcome. Yes. Yes, definitely. The magician is quite objective as well, by the way. He knows what's in his heart, okay? He knows his intuition, he knows his gut instinct and all of that, but he's trying to be very objective with it. Like, he sees it as a separate tool. My feelings say this is okay, right? My gut says I should go forward with this, okay. And what do my guides say? They say, okay, all right, let's go for it. It's sort of like that. Even if the intuition is within him or the emotion is within him, is not very personalized with that. So he kind of works with it. Okay, so these are certain personas that you can adopt to help get through whatever you're going through here, because at the end of this is so much abundance, and if you're looking for work or something, there's like steady work. So if you're worried that as a writer you can't make much, or you probably can't commit yourself to that process, then this whole selection of cards is basically saying that if you want to create this for yourself, you absolutely can. And it's just about beginning and then doing going at it bit by bit. Okay, the Knight of Pentacles does not want to rush through the process because he wants to do it right. He does not want a tower to fall, any structure to fall, really. He's working towards sustainability and what is reliable for him. So if that is what you want here, if this is all corresponding with you, it is very likely that you absolutely can. It's about making that first move, keeping at it. Okay, I suppose easier said than done, but yeah, if it is very deeply fulfilling and meaningful to you, then I don't see any reason why not. Okay, let's see some more. Pile to viewers, please. Guidance for them. Yeah, see, we have Scorpio, 12,000 the moon. Honestly, this is... oh, goodness. This is exactly what I was talking about, the death. There is a Scorpionic guide who teaches a lot about the intensities and the difficulties of life and kind of how you overcome challenges in order to be victorious and powerful, because Scorpio also corresponds with power, of transformation, of the self, or whatever, of something, right? It's a very deep, mysterious zodiac, as is the death card. So that is coming through again. And I said that this guide is kind of working in the background and is there around, but does not play a very hands-on role at any point, kind of shows what needs to be done. And if there are like external circumstances that are limiting growth, then the guide kind of puts a stop to that. So if there are certain things that abruptly stop, or there is like the interview goes well but then you get rejected and you don't know why, then it's kind of this guide's doing a little bit because it's not right for you. It would not aid in your fulfillment or growth. And honestly, this guide is sort of not here to, people please, sort of. So he, she, it, whatever, does not care if it is super pleasant or not. It's like, I'm only looking out for you, and that's my only motto here. That's what I'm getting. And this person, no, this entity, let's call it that, this entity is very attached to you in some way. It can be someone passed on, because we have the death, so an ancestor it could be, who was very intense and very powerful, magnetic and all of that, had a lot of influence over the family, something of that sort. Could be one of them. Can be a maternal figure, does not have to be. It just says that this entity is emotionally attached with you and also spiritually very deeply connected with you and will help you at all costs. So if that means saying no to certain toys or people or whatever, it is going to do that for your best and only for that. All right, so practicing tough love. I think this entity here is very much about tough love here, but loves extremely deeply. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing malicious here. It's absolutely wonderful. It's just so deep and rich. Okay, what else? Listen to the intuition. That will really help in kind of understanding your inner workings and inhibitions, the resistances that I was talking about, working through that and feeling into that, not personalizing yourself with it, but really empathizing with the emotions that you feel whenever you go through something difficult or when you're encountering certain resistances. The 12th house is also kind of the infinite power that we have. This is where we merge into the spiritual self. So that's when the real potency of the soul is kind of unlocked here, right? So when we can uncover and understand the invisible parts of ourselves, then we can start expanding even more, right? There's like infinite, again, like the dark nebula. So it says that you have a lot of capacity, and you definitely can explore them at your own pace. Scorpio as well does not like to make change unless it's necessary or it will be sustainable. So no one's rushing you through this process, but there is still a sense of urgency because there's much to discover. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Pile 2. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope the reading resonated and that it helps you out. Let me know your thoughts. And if you want a personal reading, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box in the comment below. Feel free to check out any of my other readings. There are plenty there on my channel. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye. Hi Pile 3, welcome to your reading. Let's get you your guidance messages from your spirit guides. We'll do your oracle cards in just a bit. Let's start with your tarot. We have the Four of Cups coming up first. Then we have the Fool. Okay. Them here. Then we have the Four of Wands. Excellent, that looks like a phoenix here. Next we have the Knight of Wands. Then we have the Eight of Pentacles. And we have the Ten of Wands. Okay, 4-4. So if you are feeling as though life's kind of blah, like it's uninspiring, and perhaps some writer's block or things like that, where you're feeling just in general uninspired, and that you've been working hard or you've been trying really hard, that's not going to stay for long. That's like the very first message. And what I'm getting is that there is going to be a new exciting adventure that you are about to begin, and it will lead to another spiral or a cycle of achievements here and awards as well. There is a form of celebration coming through. It starts with a new venture here. Okay, so something that is inspiring and exciting for you that is coming through. And you'll be working more on that, or you are being asked to work more on that or focus on that. From the Four of Cups to the Fool, it's like, do something exciting. That's kind of the guidance here as well. And it can be something related with, like, something you can do at home, or it can be some form of adventure here that shakes things up, basically. The Eight of Pentacles is working on something every day and kind of can get in a rut, and it's really good for like practice, making perfect and all of that, but it's not really new, fresh and exciting. And there is a time for practice, and there is also a time for fresh and new. So the dominant characteristic at this point that I'm feeling is that there is a desire for something new and exciting. The Fool says that there is a new journey opening up for you that is going to help you out of this. It can be, for example, that you are in a job that kind of qualifies as these characteristics, and with the Fool here, there is a change of the job that kind of lightens your load, but it also gives you stability. So less work, more pay, or more fulfilling work, something more exciting where you can travel and move around instead of doing one particular thing. There is more spontaneity and creativity, things like that, and also more openness and freedom as well, I'm feeling. The Four of Cups is sort of withdrawn, and it can be that you're working from home and you're not meeting many people, or it could be that just in general the work that you do is kind of as it goes. This does not have to pertain to work. This can be just lifestyle as well, that it's kind of day in and day out. It's the same routine, and it does not really feel like anything changes. This here then can be the introduction of a child for some of you that kind of shakes everything, shakes things up. And that as well can be a form of responsibility, but it is something very exciting as well, and something fulfilling too. For others, it can be a new lifestyle, new regimen, new perspective, something of that sort. Perhaps a place that you travel to. It can be quite exciting, and it kind of boosts you up. That's as well here. What else am I getting? Putting in the time and effort. Oh yeah, so if you're persevering for something that you are passionate about, and you've put in a lot of effort, and you kind of want to see the results of that. It feels as though it's just not happening, or it's not coming. The finish line is not here. These 3 cards here say keep persevering. You're very, very, very close. You're at the brink of finishing something here that will be extremely fulfilling for you, even though the journey has been tiring. But right after that, because we have the Fool and this 4 of Wands, Phoenix, and the lightness of the Knight of Wands as well, it gives me the vibe that you won't be tired after the work is done, or after your project or your goals have been reached. You're not going to be tired. You're going to be more life affirmed. You're going to feel very confident and ready to embark upon something new. There's a lot of positivity that is coming up here, and I'm also feeling that your guides are giving you that extra dose of stamina and perseverance, such that you can get through whatever you need to get through at this point. It can be, for example, that you have to earn X amount in order to qualify or to be able to pay for your studies ahead, or to travel to some place you're kind of saving up, and it can feel as though money just kind of never stays, or something of that sort, and you've been saving for a very long time, but this trip is not coming and you're not reaching your goals, and so on. This combination here says that you're very close and you're about to make it, and it's just going to be very exciting for you. Okay, so there are many different contexts this could apply with. It depends on kind of what you are driven and motivated about. Yeah, but either way, there is victory and success coming here. A certain milestone is being reached as well. Your ferocity is going to be rewarded. The time and dedication you have spent on something is going to be rewarded here. And if you're not working very hard at something here, then this 4 of Cups is kind of giving you, shifting you out of the 4 of Cups and bringing you the Fool's energy of just something new and exciting that you're really persuaded to follow through. And there is no danger to you here, so it's not that you will experience a lack of stability, although I feel like some of you are wanting a certain lack of stability. You want that spontaneity and the fire and the risk, or the unknown a little bit, because you have reached certain goals so far and you're waiting for the next one and the next upgrade. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. I feel that also you're ready for the next challenge. If you're not already in one, if you're in one, then it's ending, and then again you're kind of excited for what's to come next. But if you're not going through much at this time and it's kind of boring, then this here says that you're ready to take on a new role, or walk along a new path. There is a lot of innocent enthusiasm as well, so you're very open-minded in this new space, or you're very openly and freely received in this place. So if you're picking a new lifestyle, it just fits right in with you. It's very easy to absorb it, so you're achieving your goals at a very quick pace. It can also talk about listening to your childlike spirit. So if it is feeling a little bit dull at this point, in order to find what would be inspiring for you, it's important to look back to your child self. See what kid you would want at this point, and kind of add a little bit of that and make that a priority. And it does not have to be in the equal measure that a child would want to play or have fun or go on some adventure, but some aspects of it can still be incorporated into our everyday life. Okay, so making that a priority, and kind of I'm taking advantage and opportunity of the stability that you have right now in order to spark back some childlike optimism and spontaneity into your life is very much worth it. That's what I'm getting here. Okay, so compared to the first 2 piles, this one is more practical and everyday. I like it because, it's basically talking about what you can do every single day in order to make a bigger change happen here, right? The Fool is like, it's the beginning, but it's also the most important point, right? We need to begin in order to get through the entire journey. You also have a lot of strength and tenacity, so whatever you want to do, you're very likely to succeed no matter what. Okay, let's see your oracle card, see what else sparks. We have Void. Okay, great. And we also have geocentric model. Nice. So I like the imagery here. This planet Earth is amidst the void here, right? So creation is possible from nothing. That's what I'm getting from this. Also with the Fool, because it is card number 0, it is kind of the void. Nothing has yet happened, but everything is about to be happening here. There's a lot that is going to come through beyond this point, but the Fool is going to take the first step, and then it unfolds. It can be that you're dealing with certain obligations as well, and that is part of this feeling of boredom. And these obligations are not like negotiable, and they just have to be completed. For example, projects or taking care of, a parent who is more dependable and depending on you, and so on. Okay, so there are certain things that we can't really put down, and we just have to deal with that. But at other times when we're not dealing with that, what do we do? Is the question, right? So geocentric model is about making your self-care a priority as well, in some measure, to whatever measure is feasible for you, but not having it as none. Okay, something better than nothing, that's what I'm getting. And also the 8 of Pentacles is work at it bit by bit and one by one. It's about sculpting and etching and so on. So it's not something that happens in 1 second. It's not one blow of the hammer that is going to, make the finished product. There needs to be some time and effort that goes into, establishing a routine or a habit here, or even achieving a certain level of perfection in what we do. But that does not mean that we don't try or we don't start, right? So this says do a little bit every day of whatever you really desire to do or what is exciting for you. Make some time for your inner child to kind of connect to that creative and open-hearted spirit that can ignite the magic back into stability, or, what we say, stuck in a rut situation. Because I'm looking at the 4 and 4, and with the Fool in between, I'm getting there's a revival within the current circumstances. So if right now, whatever you have feels blah, beyond the Fool, because there's a new way of seeing the world, there's excitement from those same things. So there's a big attitude shift here. And there's a whole new perspective that just opens up your mind, and you're like, oh, hey, you know what? I can just take advantage of what I have right now. And that fills you up with this new courage and ferocity and perseverance. And you're like, I'm just going to go at this. You have so much energy and stamina here that you can, like I said earlier as well, you can get through whatever it is that you want to get through here. And your guides are kind of supplying you with a lot of protection and a lot of love as well. In the other piles as well, there were guides that I could identify, but over here it's different. I don't have any court cards except the Knight, but I'm not really feeling a guide vibe here. Instead, I'm getting that from these birds over here right above the Fool, and also the butterfly. It's as though your guides are kind of walking with you, kind of helping you out more locally. So it could be a friend that you have who kind of is very encouraging and positive. It could be someone that is very peaceful and calm, very loving and open as well. Also a free and a light-hearted character. Does not have to be incarnate, but there is one such person who is around you that kind of helps you out with during times of stress or change, and you kind of go to and confide with. You also trust this person quite a lot. And the doves I feel like you have many guides kind of working with you at this time, and they're kind of providing you a lot of positivity, love, peace, and also the strength to help you get through things. They're also gifting you awareness, I'm getting. Kind of showing you what else you're capable of, what else you can explore, kind of exciting you with all the different opportunities that will be presented here. But we need to kind of start looking in order to be able to see and recognize, because the language is quite different for them, right? But I really feel like there are quite some guides here working with you, kind of taking care that you don't have unnecessary burdens and that you're handling everything well enough. And of course you have your personal challenges, and it's not really their place to interrupt with what you have chosen for you at this point in time or what you're trying to learn at this point. They're just encouraging you to keep going because you're very close to achieving your own goals, and you're about to reach a very strong milestone here, which is going to change again the way that you've been perceiving things and the way you've been feeling about yourself and your life as a whole. Okay, it is not going to feel heavy anymore. It's going to start feeling light and fun and airy as well. Okay, so some more guidance, please, for pile 3. We have Virgo, Venus in the 3rd house. Okay, it can be a sibling as well. It can be a feminine relative who is, again, it does not have to be female. It is more someone who embodies feminine qualities of love, harmony, grace, and all of that. And is very loyal, dependable, reliable as well. You can have a very close conversation with this person. You could have gone to school with this person. So, that could be a way for you to connect with your child self by talking with your oldest school friends, perhaps. That can kind of jog some memories too. And from there you can bring in some skills and new ideas for yourself. Virgo is connected with lifestyles and routines, and Venus being there is about taking some self-care time, spending time to kind of declutter your mind as well, how you speak to yourself, and just the regimen that you have. It can be morning night routines, reading more perhaps, if that's something interesting for you. But 3rd house also corresponds with traveling, so going somewhere that you can feel grounded and still inspired. I was getting something else. I'm not getting it again. Yeah, certain routines that need to be added. Mental rest. Yes, that's what I was getting. Mental rest days, where you only fill your mind with things that you want. So you're taking a break from all the things that can be annoying once in a while. Okay, so yeah, there is definitely a shift in lifestyle. It could be talking about meditation as well, but again, you can communicate with someone who gives you that grounded and loving feeling too. Okay, so quite practical for your pile here, but I really hope the reading resonated and that it helps you out. Let me know your thoughts on the reading, and if you want a personal one, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box in the comment below. Feel free to check out any of my other videos. There are plenty there on my channel. I will see you some other time. Take care. Bye. Hi Pile 4, welcome to your reading. Let's get into the guidance messages from your spirit guides, and also let's kind of get some hints of who your guides might be at this point in time. So let's see. We have the 9 of Wands first. Then we have the Lovers. Next, we have the 3 of Wands. We have the Moon. Yes. Then we have the 2 of Cups. Interesting. And we have the Temperance. Okay, so we'll get to Oracle cards in a bit. It's interesting. We have Lovers and 2 of Cups here. You could be more focused on relationships at this time. But it also talks about making a choice and being in harmony within yourself. Okay, so let's get at it one by one. It looks like you have been persevering for something. The 9 of Wands is also having guides up. And that with the Moon is indicating that there have been past experiences or conditioning that have made you put your guards up. And again, this can be related to, counterparts or like soulmates and so on. but it can also be an internal separation that, you know, you're denying your feminine side, for example, or you're denying your masculine side. So both aspects of you are not working in tandem. So when one energy kind of takes the stage a lot more than the other, then there is an overall stunted growth of the internal self. Okay, so it can feel like more of an uphill battle than is necessary. And the Nine of Wands also does not feel excited with what it is doing. It's just defending for what it has already built and made. So there can be a defensive vibe around something. This can be pertaining to, you know, life perspective, or it can be in a work setting. It can be people that are surrounding you at this time, or some relationship experiences that you've gone through in the past. But regardless, it looks like it's time to let the guards down, because we have 3 cards of 2, right? There are 2 sides, 2 cups, 2 people in the Lovers, and also the yin and the yang, so the masculine and feminine qualities working in tandem. It's time to attract the opposite, who is also a balancing point. So opposite does not mean that, you know, if you are kind, then you should date someone who's really rude, right? That's not what I mean by that, but it's more of an individual skill set or capacities of each person. So if you are more emotional, there is a tendency to attract someone who's more practical and grounded. So it's not a polar opposite of, you know, the swords element, let's say, who's more logical and does not, emotions are not the forte. Neither is it fire that can douse the emotional nature of the water sign, but instead to attract a grounded partner who enables the growth and flow and harmony of the water element, and neither one of them kind of destroy one another. Okay, so it's about effectively looking for that balance within connections, whether that is in a romantic context or within yourself, seeing and identifying the strengths and weaknesses of either side of you or of your, again, the situation is dependent on your personal life, but regardless, there's a need to work together. There is a requirement for moderation, and if you're trying to make a decision here, the Temperance being here is saying that it's not one or the other. It's not, you know, that there's one right answer. It is actually a moderation of both choices that you have. So if it's a battle between should I stay where I am or explore new territory, the Temperance being here says you can explore new territory without destroying everything you've built so far. So let's not take it to the extreme is the idea of the Temperance here. Let's work with what we have and who we have, and let's make truce with our differences. It's that kind of energy. Moon talks about insecurities and fears that come from the past and kind of create an illusion and projection of what we are experiencing now. Therefore, there is a tendency of repeating what has occurred in the past in the present, because mentally, emotionally, we are still living in the past. Okay, so the past does not need to repeat, but we really need to learn from it. Otherwise, we keep on repeating the same actions or inevitably attracting towards us the same circumstances, even if our external behavior has changed. So what is the area of focus here? Are you looking at all the things that you are having to fight against, or are you looking at things that you are going to fight to strive towards, right? What you're aiming towards will always fill you up with more excitement and adventure, and it will also give you a different focus of authority. The Lovers is not only about kind of meeting your other half and separating that from you, but actually all good partnerships are where they become whole individually and they uplift one another to do the same, right? In whichever way, every couple has their own journey, whether it is, again, business or friendship or relationship, or it is completely internal. A sense of focus and balance needs to be struck here. There are no enemies and there are no resistances. It's an illusion of the mind, and again it can be stemming from the past. So issues around trust, if that's going on at this point. The Temperance card tells that there is healing coming here, and there is a middle ground that must be reached. Okay, the Three of Wands also indicates that you're taking all things that belong to you with you in this new version of reality. So if indeed there are people who are not wishing the best for you, they will inevitably fall away when you stop defending yourself against them and instead focus on the things that you want to be achieving. So not caring is kind of a very diluted way to put it, but let's go with it. Not letting that, pushback kind of stop you from achieving or moving towards what excites you is automatically going to melt away the connections that are not supportive for your growth. Three of Wands is all about expansion, growth, and progress, and Lovers is about fated people remaining together no matter how far and wide they travel. No matter how far and wide they're individually growing, they will inevitably always be connected. So we don't need to be worried that what is meant for us we won't find or we won't get it, because it's inevitably strung together with our inherent traits. So exploring new territory and kind of bringing along all the people and resources that are supportive for that in this new chapter is going to bring in a lot more peace and harmony within, and it will also attract like relationships in your life as well. Making peace with the past, making peace with the shadows, with existing relationships. But that's really coming out here. Letting the guard down and focusing on what you want to be creating and focusing on. It's something life-affirming, makes you very happy and also inspired. These are the emotions that need to be brought back into focus. And again, with the Temperance, it's not about going overboard with that. So not overly depending on certain types of people, nor overly positive where you do not look at the risks or the difficulties of a certain challenge that you take up. But like listening to both sides of the story and then making an informed decision here is important. And the Nine of Wands and the Moon here, it kind of gives me the vibe that you're not alone. Okay, it can feel like you are alone at some point, but you're not alone. Okay, your guides. Okay, there are two guides here coming through. One is someone who's constantly protecting you from afar, is not acting very prominently. And the other one is this healing effect with the Temperance that I'm getting, and both of them are working on different aspects of you. One shows you where you can be uplifted, the other shows you what the challenge or the difficulty is and how you can work through that. So neither one is diminishing the value of the ups and downs of life, and they're kind of teaching you that through these ups and downs there is a reaffirmation of faith and hope, and also we build very strong connections and foundations within and without ourselves. Both are equally necessary and are needed in some measure at every point in time. In difficulties we need a little hope, and in great hope and great happiness, we need some humbling element as well. Nothing can go astray and everything must exist in moderation and harmony. That's what they're trying to teach here. Okay, we have the Telescope. And we have the Surface. Okay, I'm going to leave it like this. Okay, so looking underneath the surface or diving underneath the surface. If you have a desire to block out a connection and it is coming from a place of fear or a defensive position, but this person can really be a strong connection here if the mind is open. And this here is asking you to look beyond what you are seeing on the surface and address that, because there is some potential here. Okay, and this applies to making some important choice as well. So if you're neglecting a certain choice in terms of profession or lifestyle, you're like, it's too hard, I don't want to go through with all of that, it's do something else, and basically it is about feeling fearful that perhaps this requires too much commitment and you don't have time, or you don't feel well rested enough, or you're not resilient enough, something like that. Like, what is the core issue here? Let's get into that and work from there. And even the Three of Wands is like locking eyes on something that is under the water. It's kind of changing elements, and it knows that it's a bird, so it can't really live underwater, but it's still going for something underneath the surface anyway, because it's going to be life affirming for it. It's very hopeful and positive as a card, and it kind of is giving me the vibe that there's a whole new world that awaits. And it is going to take you really, really far in the future, because the telescope here is long distance, long range. It's going to look at really far away objects like it is up close, right? It can talk about if this can be done, then a long-term wish that you have, or a long-term vision you have had for your life, for yourself, that can be brought to the present very quickly. With the Three of Wands, a lot of things happen very quickly, super fast manifestation. So trust your intuition here, not the fear-based instinct, okay? And fear is important, but not when it cripples the intuition. And intuition is important, but not when it cripples the instinct, okay? We need to survive as well, but we need to thrive too. So it's, again, we come back to balance, right? We come back to using all of these different opposing aspects in perfect tandem with one another, so that we can look forward to the future and also work towards the future without any resistance from our side or our environment. Okay, looking at the long range. I'm loving the colors here, bright red, bright yellow, and then black and white. A lot about sort of instincts and I think the instinct is really coming out loud, but also passion, reviving passion and living with passion, working for passion. You know, that word just really is sticking out. Can also talk about having a passionate relationship. All right. Guidance, please, for Kyle, for something else. We have Neptune, Aquarius in the first house. Yeah, Neptune is that intuition, and Aquarius is about the mindset or the thought process. It's also about how we connect to humanity, what our contribution is or what our thought is about that. It's also about revolutionizing something, kind of changing the norm. And because it's in the first house here, I'm getting that you are changing the norm, basically. Get that alone but not lonely, that's coming up again. You can feel alone at some points, but you're definitely not. You're being protected and watched over. There can be some visions you have, some of you, or like it comes through your dreams, because the Three of Wands, with so much of the water there, and Three of Wands talks about messages and news kind of coming through as well. So it can be the intuitive messages that come to you that kind of show you the path ahead. So whenever we struggle with making a very big choice, that's usually when we also get vivid dreams, and there are many symbols in there. So perhaps searching more about that can also help you, move forward in a solid direction. Okay, you have a lot of spiritual support as a whole. Yeah, I'm again getting that guide who is kind of working in the background, making sure that you're fine and that you're also flowing in balance. Imagination, something awakening imagination can be helpful in redirecting your focus. So doing something very passionate or creative in that way, something a little bit spontaneous but also makes your heart happy. Those kind of things can help you shift out of a negative environment if you are in one. And that includes the headspace as well. Neptune is very deeply connecting me to the Temperance, even though that's not what correlates. But yeah, it's talking about transcendental bliss, this planet here. And it's like in that balance, in that cooperation and the harmony, you will have such a renewal of spirit and energy. You're not going to feel tired doing something, even if you're constantly attached to it or you're constantly working on it. It depends on what you're doing here and what this is talking about for you. But regardless, there's so much peace within and without, and there is so much excitement. So peace does not mean that everything kind of dulls and becomes boring, right? It's just about being at harmony with what is, and working with everything that is as well. Yeah, you guys are really wishing for you a lot of happiness, connectedness, and peace and support as well. And they're definitely supporting you in whichever way they can. And it is very likely that you can meet someone as a person, like being a friend or a partner of some sorts, that can be very helpful in helping you heal as well. It's just a matter of keeping an open mind, or being objective depending on your situation. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Pile 4. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope the reading resonated and that it helps you out. Let me know your thoughts, and if you want a personal reading, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box in the comment below. Feel free to check out any of my other videos. There are plenty there on my channel. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.